Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the APAC Podcast. So as always, I'm LJ. I'm your historian. My pronouns are he, him, his.
I'm Janelle. I'm the PR marketing co-chair. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
I'm Natalie. I'm the programming co-chair, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
So as y'all noticed, we're in a different set, so we're not over
Woo!
Zoom. So
Yeah.
following our GA, like our movie night GA, we deemed that it was actually good to meet in person. Everyone here is tested. We're wearing masks, so we're staying safe in the midst of COVID. So yeah. So like before we go into our topic, like I want to do like a reflection on our GA. So how did you like the movie night, y'all? Like, cause I wasn't on campus, so how was it for y'all?
I thought it was really fun. It was fun to see everybody. I wish more people came, but we get that, not everyone is here, not everyone can, but it was really fun.
For us, like we had the Zoom thing, so it was very intimate because there was like less people, but it was fun also. How was it for you, Natalie?
It was pretty good. I think it went well, being the first meeting in person.
hmm So like, what would you guys like, or what would y'all like change if like to make it better? Like, did y'all like were y'all able to talk to GA members, or was it more just like a movie and then you just get out type of thing?
It was since we were like on a schedule with the university, it felt kind of rushed. We had to be in the theater, start the movie at a certain time, and then we had to leave like right after. So, but that's kind of out of our control, I feel like.
hmm Would y'all do it again? Because I know like there's a new movie called Minari, which is like a A24 film about like Korean immigrants growing up. I think we should do this again.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, so for today's topic, this kind of goes along with our first GA. So like as we kind of left our homes and we met together like in person, there was definitely like culture shock that we probably felt. This might be the first times we left our house like in a long time to meet friends, and that just like gives like anxiety to some people. So our topic today is actually regarding visiting our home cultures, so like where our ancestors are from. So if y'all didn't know, we're all Filipino Americans right here, so this is kind of like a Filipino American perspective. All right. So going into it, I think the biggest culture shock that I felt when I went to the Philippines was respect. Do y'all like feel this? Like there's a different type of respect when you're in the Philippines versus in the States. Would you say so?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yo, one time when I was in the Philippines, like I was talking to like my relatives and we had like a disagreement, but for some reason, like in the Philippines, you never like talk back to your relatives. So I think
No,
that's like
definitely not.
that's like something special or something different that like I experienced. Do you guys have any like, or do y'all have any anecdotes or something that you all experienced in the Philippines? How about you?
Yeah, I feel that, like, especially during dinner and everything. Being the youngest, I always had to do the prayer, and it's not something I do here every time I have dinner with my family. I feel like with elders, it's like they're a role model to you. So, like, you look up to them, and you don't want them to look at you poorly based on the decisions because they might think that they influenced you to do something wrong when they're just trying to, like, support you and have you look up to them.
Yeah, and I feel like family is so much more emphasized in Asian cultures than America. And because of that, it's you have to respect your parents, respect your grandparents, because they mean a lot in your culture.
Definitely. I feel like lots of Asian cultures are based off of Confucianism. I hope I'm saying that right. But in that culture, like, you do respect your elders and you do role models and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely the reason, like, for that.
For sure.
So one last call for, like, anecdotes. Like, did y'all have like any culture shock when it came to like something involving relatives? Like, you did something disrespectful in an accident, like you didn't know that was disrespectful when you were in the Philippines or wherever y'all went in Asia too. So lots of Asian cultures, I feel like we hold grudges, like, because like when
Yeah.
family drama arises, like, people always bring it up at the gatherings and stuff, and it never goes away.
Yeah, it
So,
really doesn't.
yeah.
It just lives with you, haunts you forever.
And you'll have like family that won't talk to you for months. And like a lot of the times the kids don't even know about it. It's just the parents. So when the kids get together, they're like, why haven't I seen you in so long? Like, this is weird. Like, what's happening with our parents?
Yeah, people just gotta communicate effectively and talk things out, because there's always misunderstandings.
That's a really hard thing to do, though.
Oh yeah, because you can't really talk up to like older relatives because they think that you're
Yeah,
talking
because
back
it's
and stuff.
back to the disrespect thing. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a Tagalog phrase, and you know Tagalog, like,
Yeah.
Natalie knows Tagalog, but it's called tubag-tubag in Bisaya, which is a different language, but that means you're talking back to your elders. That's actually a phrase where you can't emote to your elders, which is kind of messed up.
That's something my parents always tell me, though. It's like, they're still older than you. Respect your elders. And I'm like, okay, but I have an opinion, too. Like,
For
Yeah,
real, bro, we're like
exactly.
18 plus, we pay taxes, we got jobs. But yeah, that's definitely like a culture shock, I would say, from like the Philippines. But going off of this, another topic that I want to talk about is the food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the food in the Philippines is bomb. Like, when you go to the manong, the people who like sell the street food, like, and you just pay them a couple pesos, you have like a feast. You
my
know?
aunt didn't let me do it.
Didn't let you do it?
Yep.
What?
Like, when I was with my aunt, we went to like restaurants, and she was like, no, I don't trust it. I don't want you to get sick. And my mom was like, no, she needs to experience it. But she didn't let me.
Well, I mean, you're like aunt is very rich, so
Oh yeah.
it's a different thing. It's a different
Rich
thing.
aunt.
Yeah.
No, yeah. When we went, my parents were balling out on all that. It was
Yeah.
so good.
You got that Jollibee, you got Chowking,
Yeah.
you got Red Ribbon.
And I
Well, I
wasn't
went to those.
vegetarian.
We went to
Yeah.
those. We didn't go to the mom and pop stuff.
No.
When I was in the Philippines, like, we couldn't drink the waters, the tap water, because you're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my experience. So we kind of have a shared experience about like the collective like food culture in the Philippines. Do you think that in the Philippines, like, since we don't talk to our parents and since like it's hard to communicate with them, do you think that we show love and affection through food? Because like in Filipino culture, like, it's kind of like more taboo to say I love you, to your kids.
Yeah. I think definitely my parents express it more with food.
Yeah. Especially, like, once I come home, my mom's just like, okay, what do you want me to cook? Like, I'll make all your favorite meals. Like, that's her showing, like, I miss you, I love you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, like, it was always the sliced fruit, like sliced apples that would
Yeah.
be brought, like pineapples and stuff.
After an argument.
Yeah, 100%. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. So yeah, that's cool that we share the same experiences. So in the Philippines, what's y'all's favorite foods?
Before I was vegetarian, I really liked sisig.
Sisig.
Yes.
Yep.
But, now pancit goes by well.
Mine is favorite is sinigang.
Sinigang?
Love it.
My girlfriend likes sinigang too, like that sweet sour.
I
Yeah.
love sinigang. Sisig.
We actually like sizzle it so it's like crispy, but like it's very very like fat, and there's like different like sweet, sour, like savory type of notes to it, and it's really good with like rice. So
Soupy too.
soupy too. And then we have sinigang. Sinigang is a soup that's like more sour, and then they use like I think taro or something in it, but it's really really good. Like, it's good for the cold nights. So
Has a lot of vegetables. Love it.
for sure.
Really good.
When you eat sisig, did you eat the ones in the Philippines?
Yeah.
They never
Oh,
make
yeah.
it as good as over there.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah, for real. I think mine must be like sisig too, or like pinakbit. Do you guys know what pinakbit is?
I know what it is.
Yeah, I've never had it though.
Never had it? Oh, that's bomb. It's slept on.
What is it?
It's like okra. It's like vegetables, but it's like in a whole like type of
Oh, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I
they
remember.
have vegetarian versions of it. It's mostly
Okay.
vegetable. You should get it. Yeah, it's really good.
Let's
So
try it.
yeah, it's awesome. What's y'all's favorite like fast food? I guess.
I think it's also at Seafood City.
For our non-Filipino viewers, local in Chicago, Seafood City is a predominantly Filipino marketplace that has different eateries. Oh, Max's?
No, not Max's.
Or Grill City?
Grill City. It might
Grill
be
City?
Grill City. Yes.
Y'all, when you make barbecue, the reason why Filipino barbecue is really good is because they put 7-Up in that. It makes it sweet. And then-
Or whenever I go to Seafood City, we always get bangos.
Bangos? Oh, sorry. It's called the Grand Cafe. It's actually more Chinese than Filipino, but like their pancit's pretty okay. Like they have adobo. You can get like crispy stuff, and I think they might have sisig. So it's really bomb. It's really bomb. And Shanghai Market is Filipino food. So all right, moving on. I think another thing that I realized like when I was in the Philippines is that everyone's like in a happy mood, you know? Like everyone's really jolly and stuff. Especially like during like the Christmas time and stuff, like it's all different. Like we have a fast food place here called Jollibee, and that's like the Filipino fast food thing. So I feel like that's definitely a thing of Filipino culture. So did y'all feel this when you were in the Philippines, and do you guys have examples, or do y'all have examples of that at all?
I definitely felt that, and it's like a crazy contrast because it's so different from America, like lesser developed, you know, but it doesn't really get to them, and I think that's kind of nice.
I feel that. My mom, like, she actually came from more poverty, and then she said, like, you know, even though she was kind of more poorish, like, when she was with her, like, family and stuff, like, that's all that matters. So I feel like there's definitely, like, a hardworking type of, like, family-based, like, lifestyle over there. Do you have anything to add, Natalie, by chance?
Yeah, I feel like all the family I met there, they just like make the best out of every situation.
Yeah.
Like everything we did, they were just so happy, and like they're very in the moment people.
Yeah.
Like they focus on like the positives of everything. Like I'm seeing family, we get to go out to eat with them. Like it's just always a good time.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel that for sure. That's definitely a trope of Filipino culture. So this is kind of like a deeper question. Would y'all attribute the happy mood of the Philippines to like, I guess, our culture of like hardworking? Because like my parents moved from the Philippines actually because they were nurses. So they're trying to come here for a better life. And I'm not sure if y'all's families' experiences were the same.
The same.
But what do you guys would y'all attribute that happy mood to like that hustle culture and being happy because like you're grateful for things you're achieving?
I think mixed with the hardworkingness and their focus on family really makes really attributes to that happiness, because you know basically you're working hard for your family, and I think that's what really makes them happy.
Yeah, with my parents, they were always trying to do everything they could to like make our lives better and for us to be happy and everything. They came here so that we would have a better life and everything.
Yeah. And like my parents are also nurses, and they only came here because they wanted a good life for their kids, and I think they're doing really well, like with their happiness and stuff.
So actually, by going from this, I was actually wondering if there's actually something that could become negative from this hustle mentality. So we were touched on like the respect thing and not saying or talk back to your elders and stuff. Do y'all think that maybe like the keeping your head down type of thing and like, you know, hustling and stuff like maybe doesn't leave room for emotional communication between like family members, and it might like, I guess, create conflict in Filipino families?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely experienced that as like a kid when I was in school and they were just like, you have to get good grades. I remember they got so mad at me because I changed up my handwriting and they were like, we can't read this. But it wasn't even that bad, I swear. But they were like, your teacher's not going to be able to read this. You're not going to get good grades. And yeah, because of that, I feel like I couldn't talk to them as much about like about just life stuff other than grades. Like growing up, especially in high school, I didn't feel comfortable telling them that stuff. And yeah, that was one of the big negatives from that hustle mentality.
I feel that.
Yeah, and I feel like our parents just like want us to do the best. So whatever they recommend, like you don't want to go against it. Like I want to make them proud, like especially just going into college. My parents really wanted me to do nursing. And I was like, yeah, but that's not what I want to do. And then I just didn't tell my mom at first what I applied to be in. And then I told her and she was like, okay, but like, you're not going to make a lot of money, like blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah.
You're smart though. That's the difference.
And like, with that, I was just very scared to tell her because I felt like I couldn't talk to her about it. But then I told her and she's like accepted it more, but it's definitely hard.
I remember I first wanted to major in psychology and they like told me the same thing, like you're not gonna have any money, you're not gonna have a job, like what are you gonna do? I was like, I mean, I guess. So now I'm a nursing major. So good for you, Natalie.
She's the only Filipina here, I guess, like that's making her parents proud. Yeah, Filipinos want their kids to be nurses, but me and Natalie are not. So
It's really hard to go, like, distinguish, like, going for money or going for what, like, you're passionate about. Like, with the...
I always try and separate like my passion from my moneymaker. So, but
That's true, because sometimes it can get like
so actually it might be healthy for you, but it's like depends on the person too.
yeah, but
But
like yeah, I mean, if you separate it, I know like if you only do your passion for money, then it, like you might not end up enjoying it anymore. So
Yeah.
that's also good.
Most definitely. So growing up, like whenever like I do something, I was like a mischievous kid. Like I was a problem maker. So whenever like I do stuff, like my parents would just say like bad, like stop, like but they would never explain things. Do y'all have like experiences with that? Like I feel like for my parents specifically, they never had time to explain things, and they never had the emotional energy to like emote like why things are bad, like why not touch the stove and stuff like that. So I saw head nods. Let me hear y'all's experience.
I feel like parents just expect us to know. Like, you should know what you're doing.
Bro, when I was driving, my dad would be like, drive better, but how do we do it? You know what I'm saying? I'm learning how to drive.
Just expect us to know, and they're like, oh, you're not doing it correctly. Like, did I not teach you? Like, it's common sense. I'm like, I don't know. Sorry.
So going off of that, and I'm going to get back to you. So, like, our parents would say that, but then it's funny because when we try and learn, they'd say you're doing it wrong, and then, right? Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
I think you agree. So, do you have anything, Natalie?
I don't know. It's hard to communicate with parents sometimes.
Yeah. This is Filipino parents, or immigrant Filipino parents. Like, so, what was your experience, Janelle?
I just think like throughout high school, they wouldn't want me to go out with friends, but I always would, and they'd be like, "Oh, just like stay home," and I'm like, "But why? Like we're not doing anything." They're like, "Just hang out with us," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do hang out with them. Like just it's not always I'm out with my friends, but like I just they didn't want me to hang out with my friends at all, and they never explained like why they." And I'm like, please.
Yeah, I was only able to go out like once a week. So like I had to pick what was
Only once a week?
Yeah, like when my parents were just like, pick. You have to like pick out what you want to do the most. And I was like, okay. But then we have to spend time together, and it would be watching a movie, and I was like,
Exactly.
I can watch a movie anytime.
Exactly.
I feel like Filipino, or like, I'll diverge from saying Filipino parents, but I feel like our parents collectively like love the way they love, but not the way we want to receive love. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like when parents are like, you're messing up with this and you're messing up with that, that's like their way of like showing love that they care for us. But then personally, when someone says that, like, I'm getting fatter, because that's something my parents would say actually to me, but I'm not sure.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's them looking out for me, but then for me it's a verbal attack. So no wonder I try not to be home and go with friends. But I'm not sure if y'all have experiences with that at all too.
Yeah, I mean, like, they show their love, like how you said, they show their love in a different way than what we would want, like maybe food or by just like attacking us, so to speak. But like, I want to be able to have an emotional connection with them. If like, that's the most thing that I want out of them. I want to be able to talk to them about my life and my feelings. I want to be able to say I love you and then like have them tell it to me back, you know?
So do you have anything to add, Adley?
Yeah, it's definitely confusing, like my relationship with them, because I don't, like, I want them to know what's going on in my life, but then I don't want to hear it, because sometimes they'll talk too much about it, and I'm just telling them, just give them a heads up, and they're like, yeah, you're doing it wrong.
Sometimes I feel like with my parents, I'm not sure if y'all would relate, but it's not more or less like when you're, excuse me, when you try and like convene with your parents, it's not like they don't really congratulate you as much. It's more like you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong. Do you feel that too?
Like, they don't give us credit for what we're
Yes,
doing good.
right?
Like, it's more of, you should be doing that.
It's more negative reinforcement than positive. So
Yeah. I remember I got straight A's for the first time in a while last semester, and I told my dad. And I was so happy. I was like, I wanted to cry because he said, "I'm so proud
I saw
of
on
you."
your story. That's funny.
Yes.
That's funny.
That was like a monumental moment.
That's good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's just different like ways to communicate with parents, and I guess since we are from a different generation, different society, because we're pretty individualistic here in this collective in the Philippines. You know, in the Philippines, like everyone's business is, or your business is everyone's business kind of thing, and we're not like that here. It's really different. So you were talking about improving the relationship with your parents and stuff like that. So in your opinion, how would you go about like mending your relationship with your parents? Because I actually tried, and I might like give you advice if need be, or tell me my experience.
I think it's definitely a lot better now that I'm away from them, but that just means that like when we talk, it's more meaningful and like stuff to talk about like my college life, how's school, how's like my friends and stuff. And I've been trying to make more of an effort to include them in like my decisions and in my life. Like I said, like, oh, I told them about my grades, and especially since I'm in nursing and they're nurses, I try to be like, we learned about this today, we learned about IV insertion, whatever, like, stuff that they do on the regular, so that I can relate to them on a different level, kind of.
I definitely feel that.
For me, in high school, my relationship with my parents was not there. Like, I wouldn't tell them anything. But now that I'm at school, I talk to my mom like 7 times a day now. And it's just like, what'd you eat for dinner? Or did you cook today? What'd you do? Like, what do you have planned for the rest of the week? Like, they're more involved, even though they're not there. And I feel like I have so much more to talk with them. And, like, I can just tell that they're just like, oh, when are you coming home? Like, I want to spend time with you. But when I was in high school, they were just like, spending time, yeah, it's there, but
It's more forced.
yeah.
I think the way like our parents were growing up or raised with like the hustle mentality, since we're all hustling now in college, I feel like actually that's helping us get closer to our parents,
Yeah, that's true.
For me personally, I'm at home, so I'm with my parents 24/7, so it's kind of difficult. But like advice to y'all, I guess, even though your parents might not affirm you on like small achievements, like grades and stuff like that, you could always like stand your ground and tell yourself that you're proud of like what you do, and then you could maybe voice out to your parents that like I'm proud of that I got straight A's, or that type of thing. All right, so going from this and going from like showing our parents love and stuff, like it kind of correlates with like love language and stuff. We're gonna go to the topic of language. So this podcast actually turned from talking about our experiences in the Philippines to, I guess, being our own culture, and then relating that to like a different culture, which is like our parents' culture. So, do y'all have any language barriers, like when it comes to like the Philippines or like relatives or something like that? Personally, I speak Cebuano, which is my parents' native tongue. I don't speak Tagalog, so it's kind of problematic when I need to speak to anyone else that's Filipino. I know you speak Tagalog, so I hear y'all's thoughts.
I understand very little of Tagalog and I don't speak it. So in the Philippines, they're very condescending sometimes, and whenever they want to talk behind my back, they can do it whenever because I don't understand what they're saying. And it's even like that at family parties, like in America too. There's all my titas and my mom.
Titas and titos is uncles and aunts. Mm-hmm. Continue.
Yeah, and even like in the Philippines, I have to go everywhere with my mom because like in the shops, I don't know what they're saying. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, so like in Asian cultures, like I know like there'd be like skits and stuff, like if you all watch like Just Kidding films or like, those Asian YouTubers, like for some reason like Asian people have no chill. They'd be like, "Oh, why have you gotten so fat?" Or like, "Where's your boyfriend?" or something like that.
That's the first thing they asked you about.
Yes.
Right?
I called my mom and she was like, "Do you have a new boyfriend?" I was like, "No."
So I understand Tagalog like fully, but I can't speak it. And when I went to the Philippines, they talk really fast. Like I have to really listen in order to catch it. And like they understand English, but they say I talk too fast. So every time I speak, they like look at my mom to like translate. And then like even with my little cousin, she doesn't understand English. So she was just talking in Tagalog. But she talks too fast, and I was like, I held my phone with Google Translate.
And I was able to do it.
And I was like, I'm sorry, I have to do it. Because she just kept trying to talk to me, and I was like, I feel so bad. Yeah. And then she turned to my mom, and she was like, why isn't she speaking back to me in Tagalog?
Is she younger?
Yeah. Oh. And I was like...
Just say, ano? Ano? Ano means what?
And I wish my parents actually made me respond back in Tagalog.
Yeah. So, growing up, did y'all, like, speak in your households? Because for me personally, I talked to my grandma, and she only spoke Bisaya. So, my grandma's, like, a really important person in my life, so I wanted to be able to communicate with her, so I kept that language going. But when y'all grew up, did y'all speak it, or did y'all parents, like, speak it, like, to each other? How did it go?
My parents spoke it to each other, and they said it, like, spoke to us, but never had us respond back. And, like, with my family, me and my brothers understand it, but my sister doesn't understand it at all. And I think the only reason why I understand it, though, is because I was always with my mom and my aunts, and they were always talking, and I was really nosy. So that's how I, like, slowly picked up on all of it.
Yeah, all that chica. Mm-hmm. Chica is gossip. It's kind of like chisme in Spanish, if you all know that, so... Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about gossip. So, do you have anything else to add, or you have anything to add too?
Oh, with the language.
Yes.
Yeah, no, my parents tried to teach my older brother Tagalog, and he just got very confused in school. So then, when they had me, they only spoke English because they didn't want me struggling in school. And yeah, now I just don't know it. And when I go back to the Philippines, I especially hate it at family dinners when everyone is speaking and I just don't understand, and my cousin will just turn to the side and be like, blah, blah, blah.
They're saying this.
Yes, exactly.
It's like when we're at dinner, my sister's like, what are they saying? Like, translate. Because she'll hear her name.
Yes, exactly.
And she's like, what are they saying about me?
And you can't ask them because that's disrespect.
Yeah, like they say my name and then they start laughing. And I'm like,
and my sister's like, they're being rude. I want to know. Like,
low key, like when I grew up, I actually went to ESL classes. I have a fun experience. So I went to ESL thinking that it was the coolest thing, but they're trying to fix my lisp. I couldn't say brother tree because I said three, because that's how you say it in like the Philippines, But yeah, it's just funny. But yeah, in the Philippines though, I pity y'all because I feel like if you didn't know the language, like since y'all, or you said that like Filipinos are kind of condescending when they talk, like you probably have a fear that people are talking smack about you all the time, huh?
All the time, especially my family. They're
It's out of love though.
Yes, of course, out of love.
that's how they show love. It's weird.
Yeah. It's always trying to fix what's wrong with you, but they never really talk about themselves, huh?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. You think pride's a big thing in the Philippines?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I tried to, in high school more, when I tried to like talk back at my mom and like defend myself, it really hurt her.
Yeah.
You know.
No, definitely. Like, me and my dad would have heart-to-hearts and stuff, and he would say how it hurts him, but like, I have to empathize because that is the way he grew up, and we grew up in a culture where we question everything, you know? And it's hard because, like, if you don't protect your self-conscious or confidence, who will?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, was there ever like a time in the Philippines where, no, or sorry, was there ever a time when you guys grew up where you thought like to yourself like, I'm gonna have to stand up to myself for my parents, or else like I'll be more self-conscious about myself like going forward?
All the time.
Me
Literally
too.
all the time.
Do y'all have any stories specifically, or?
I feel like it's just hard to like stand up for yourself sometimes, but how I took it is like at the end of the day I'm going to have to start my own life. Like I'm adulting. So I have to start making decisions like what's best for me and what's best for my future. And like I know it upsets my parents sometimes, but like it'll help me in the long run.
That's true. Yeah, I raised this question because like there was like a time like in high school where, um, you know, for our parents to kind of like, you know, I guess like talk to us in a certain way, like they have to know us in a certain sense. And during high school, like they'd be working and I won't be able to spend time with them. So then I realized like their expectations of me weren't realistic, you know. So going from that, like I had to like stand up for myself, and even though that was disrespectful in Filipino culture, I think that was better for my mental health, you know. Okay, going from this, we're gonna go into mental health in like I guess the Philippines. So I actually got diagnosed with ADHD, and I got prescribed like medication for that. And I got so many messages from relatives saying ADHD ain't real, that like I'm just lazy and you know I'm disrespectful to God, so He condemned me. But I'm not sure if y'all have any experiences with like mental health like issues and stuff, and like getting affirmed for that, or like you know getting treatment for that from like stuff like that.
In high school, specifically like junior year, it was just really bad, and I was seeing a therapist who they didn't want me to see in the first place.
Dang,
You know,
that's
they're
good for you because like you know lots of like Filipinos don't get to get that experience.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I was fortunate in that part, but the therapist who was also a doctor, they had this ability to like tell me that you know you might want to go on medication, and then I told my parents and they said absolutely not, like you can't go on meds. If you really wanted to get better, you would just be better in your head. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that, you know.
I think to empathize, they might think that they did something wrong, and you know, our parents try and do their best, and it's hard for them to realize that there is something wrong with, you know, our or with their offspring. But I think the worst thing that they could do, or someone could do, is just not acknowledge the problem and have it like manifest and become an issue in the future.
Yeah, and I feel like it comes to like a shock to our parents when they find out that like we are going through things, because that stems from like our communication though. Like it's not something we feel comfortable talking to them about, because I had a similar situation to Janelle. Like I saw a therapist, like was on medication, and my mom was just like, you know, like you won't be so depressed or like be so anxious if you just look on the bright side. Like tomorrow.
Yo, you think we didn't try?
Like tomorrow's a new day. Like things will get better. Like stop focusing on like how sad you are. And I'm like, it's not that easy. Like it's not like a switch that like you can just flip and you're like, yeah, I'm good.
So what kind of worries me is that like I know lots of like Filipinos and like actually more Filipinas who have like, you know, mental health issues and stuff, and like if it's hard for individuals to contact with their parents about like this type of stuff, like I wonder how many underlying like medical or mental health issues are in our community that like people aren't like you know diagnosing or like you know getting help for, because as I said, like we should get help. Like it's not an ailment to have like mental health. Is you know we should just get it treated. You know, or yeah. So
Yeah, and I think it's a big thing where they believe that we don't need help. Like, we can just get through it, like, fight it.
Yeah. I think it's the pride thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And I know that mental health is a little bit has to do with genetics, and it's more expressed with Asian Americans and like us, you know.
Wait, genetically it's more common in us?
No, like genetically it's passed down.
Oh.
Yeah, like
Okay.
at least a little bit. I and I just learned that from a class. And
Interesting.
like, so if it's from genetics, like our family, like back home and our like parents, they don't know it, and like they're not, I'm trying to word this right. I can't.
Or that they're, like, not saying that they are going through it too.
Yeah.
Like, another thing with pride.
Yeah.
It's the pride thing, I feel like, and the keep your head down mentality, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I think lots of like Filipino parents are like, you know, this could apply to like immigrant parents. I'm sorry if this is all for, like Filipino stuff. This is just our experience, but I feel like a lot of them like would always say like the grass is always greener on the other side, you know, because they'd be like, you know, look at your relatives, like they got this, they got that, but they're still successful, or, you know, they don't have mental health in the Philippines, but they're still doing good. But you know, it's always like the grass is greener because you never know what people are dealing with unless you're in their shoes, you know. So
Yeah. Oh, what I was trying to say is that we express it more because we're more exposed to American culture, where like back home, back in the Philippines, and our parents, they don't express it because when in their culture, like they literally can't. But it's genetically there, but they can't express it, and they try to force that on us in a way and be like, well, we're fine, we're doing okay, everyone back home is doing okay, like why aren't you, kind of deal.
yeah, I think for us it might be a detriment because we are in the Midwest and we're not a predominantly Asian American, Filipino American community, so it's actually hard to convene. And for me personally, it was hard to convene in other individuals like about mental health and like issues like that, because like, you know, with other races or other cultures, like it's not really an issue really, or something that is talked about. Do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I agree, just because, like, my other friends don't exactly understand how I was raised or, like, how my parents act or treat situations. Yeah, like, things like that. Like, my friends don't have to experience that, so it's hard. Do y'all have to deal with, like, your parents wanting you to, like, be better compared to other cousins and stuff? Like, they want it as, like, a front. Like, no, my kid is doing better. Yes. Like, it's a competition.
It's like a trophy horse, like, low-key, you know? Like, your parents, like, I guess your parents, or our parents, like, put so much effort into raising us, and then I guess they want to reap the benefits of their work they put in. So then, actually, like, growing up, a lot of us became trophy horses. Like, I'm a musician, so then I'd always play at family parties. Like, I feel like you're more academics, like y'all were. Did you have to sing or something?
I had to play piano.
Play piano?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of unhealthy because, like, I went through, like, this whole thing, like, back in the day where, like, I was wondering if I played guitar for myself or because other people wanted me to, you know?
Exactly.
Do y'all want to speak to that?
Like, when I was in piano lessons, and they were very adamant on, like, you have to practice piano, and I wanted to quit piano at that point, more of the lessons, because I was just learning songs. I didn't want to learn, like, it was more classical.
Like, theory and stuff. You didn't want to do that.
And I was in competitions that... And
Dang, you're good. You should bust out a piano. Check out the cultural showcase video that we did.
Yeah, and I'd be in competitions. I just didn't want to do all that. Like, I just wanted to play, but they were very, you know, you have to play it at our next party. You have to, like, show them everything. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. Like, I didn't want to walk out of my room if it was, like, at our house, because I just didn't want to play. I knew they would ask me to.
I didn't want to walk out because someone would tell me I'm fat. I'm gonna cut that out. Bad joke. Natalie?
No, my experience with it is, like, more so recent. Like, my mom always talks to my aunts and stuff. Yeah, like Natalie's in school, she's doing this volunteer thing, she's in a club. Like,
But wait, wasn't she the one that didn't want you to be in this school because of nursing? That's messed
and
up.
now she's seeing me like do so much, and now she's like telling everyone like, yeah, she's doing good at school. Like, I don't know, it's just weird. But I also feel bad because like she's comparing me to like my cousins, and like if they're not doing so much, it's just like more so of them again talking smack.
Yeah, and it's like, dang, you're gonna say all that about like your own niece or nephew.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, there was this one definite moment. So I'm not academically successful. So when it comes to like stuff like that, when my parents would try and trophy horse me, like I'd always be like the sore subject because most of the families, like, you know, my one of my cousins is in aerospace, one of my cousins doing chem, and I'm just doing like business marketing. So it definitely did like deteriorate my confidence. So growing up, did y'all feel like your self-confidence was low compared to other people because of stuff like that?
Definitely. I felt like all the time just wasn't good enough because my
For
parents just always told me like you have to do better, like you can achieve more, but like in reality, without my parents telling me all that, like I was doing just fine. I was doing great. Like, but because of that, I always had that in the back of my head like, oh, I could do so much better. I could.
You have experience with that?
Yeah, it's the same, like doing better or like not doing enough things to make them proud. But really, I was doing enough.
Exactly.
You are enough, viewers. And
You are enough.
And we're all enough. I guess similar to the communication type of thing. How would y'all try and fix this issue? Or, you know, we're getting older, so I guess we can empathize to our parents a little more. But like, it's still a problem. I feel like I still feel a little self-conscious here and there. But how would y'all try and mend this relationship and feel respect?
That's a good question. What was the question again? I forgot.
All right, so with the like kind of self-confidence type. Okay, this is a better question. So going off of like how our parents raised us, like when it comes time, like if we choose to do so, when we have our own like offspring, how would y'all try and change the way like our parents like raised us, like our kids feel respected and that type of stuff? Is that a better question? Cool.
For me, I feel like with my kids, I would really want them to do what they want to do. Like, they can choose, they can decide what sports they want to play. Like, anything that they like, I just want them to try. Like, I want them to more so learn from their own mistakes. Like,
That guide in hand.
yeah. And if they need, like, guidance and, like, I want them to be open with me. If they did something, okay, cool. Like, you're going to learn from it more so. Like, I want the communication to be there, and I want them to, like, live their best life and do what they want to do.
That, like, I definitely agree with that. And the big thing for me is establishing an emotional connection with them because I want to be there for them. I want to give them support more than just negative reinforcement. And I want them to know that, like, I will be there for them because I feel like we feel like our parents, like, we just can't go to them all the time. And I want my kid to know that you can.
I feel like emotional connection, like, is a two-way street, like, with vulnerability. Because when I try and become more emotionally involved with someone, like, I show my vulnerability, so then, you know, we could bond over that. And I feel like it might be toxic, but in Filipino culture, the pride thing, the respect thing, and all that type of stuff, like, it's hard to see, like, you know, that type of thing. Because, you know, if you give someone a piece of yourself, then they'll give it back most of the time, if they're worth it. So we don't want this podcast to just be bashing our parents. You know, the way they raised us is definitely like different from like other like Americans or like different cultures, but still, I guess I'm proud to be a Filipino American because I was able to learn hard work ethic, and then I was able to, I guess like learn how to be happy in like bad situations and find like the positive and the optimist, or to find the light in the dark. Good one. How about y'all?
Yeah, and everything that we've gone through, I'm sure like we've all learned from it and we all apply it to our everyday lives. It makes us who we are now. And we will apply it to our kids, like that learning experience as well.
Yeah, and growing up, like, despite all the negatives, like, my family is everything. Like, my relationship with my siblings and everything were super close. And I love that my mom, like, made that just because, like, I know that I can always rely on them and, like, call them just to see what's going on and everything. And they'll always have my back.
Whatever
Yeah.
you said, going fast.
And like at the end of the day, like what Natalie said, you know that they will be there for you no matter what. No matter like what argument, no matter how big it might be, they will be there for you eventually.
Yeah, we just have to grow up and be in their shoes, and we'll understand. Well, that, y'all, was another episode of the APAC Podcast. So, as always, I'm LJ. I'm your historian.
I'm Janelle. I am one of the PR marketing co-chairs.
I'm Natalie. I'm one of the programming co-chairs.
So we can find us on the socials. Janelle, you got us
Yes,
with that?
Instagram at APAC Ilstu, Snap at APAC Ilstu, TikTok at APAC Ilstu, Facebook, Asian Pacific American Coalition.
So, well, y'all, I hope we were able to show y'all that we're going through the same type of thing. Though growing up with like immigrant parents and Filipino parents specifically is difficult sometimes, like, we do have a different way of showing love. So, love your parents. Hope everything is well with y'all. So, see y'all later.
Thank you for listening.